The sky above Meridian Station burned a soft violet, an artificial dawn projected onto the inner curve of the orbital habitat. Every morning, the light arrived perfectly on schedule, gentle and warm. Yet for Lyra Ansel, it never reached her. She stood at the viewport of Maintenance Ring C, staring down at the swirling clouds of the planet below. Vesper 9. A world of storms and secrets. A world that had never wanted her. She pressed her palm against the cold glass. Somewhere beneath those violent clouds was the research colony where she had been born and abandoned. Lyra had no memory of her parents. Only a file number. Only a record that said, "Infant transferred to Meridian Station Care Unit due to genetic anomaly." No name listed for mother. No record of father. A blank space where love should have been. So she grew up learning not to ask. At 16, she joined the station's engineering corps. At 23, she became the youngest structural systems technician in Meridian history. She was efficient, silent, invisible, a ghost who kept the station alive while pretending she didn't need it to love her back. Today, however, something had changed. A classified mission had arrived overnight. A research team on Vesper 9 had gone missing. The station needed a volunteer to descend into the storm-racked atmosphere and repair a downed comm relay. It was dangerous. No one else wanted the assignment. Lyra signed up immediately. If the planet had once rejected her, she would make it face her again. The descent shuttle screamed through turbulence, its hull rattling like bone in a windstorm. Lyra strapped herself in, jaw tight, eyes fixed forward. Lightning flickered outside like violet fire. Across from her sat Commander Elias Wren, the mission leader. He looked out of place among engineers, broad-shouldered, dark-eyed, calm in a way that suggested storms didn't frighten him. "You're Lyra Ansel," he said over the intercom hiss. She nodded. "Station records say you were born here," he continued. "On Vesper 9. "Yes." He studied her, then spoke carefully. "If this mission becomes unsafe, I will order a retreat. Do you understand?" Lyra's fingers tightened around the harness. "I didn't come here to retreat." A faint smile crossed his face. "I expected that answer." The shuttle lurched violently. Warning alarms flared. Then impact. Metal screamed. Darkness swallowed everything. Lyra woke to rain hammering steel. The shuttle lay half buried in mud and twisted vines. Smoke rose from ruptured panels. Commander Wren was already unstrapping himself, checking injuries. "You all right?" he asked. She nodded, dazed but alive. Outside, Vesper 9 roared. Towering trees with bioluminescent veins stretched toward a churning sky. The air tasted electric. Somewhere in the distance, a beast cried, a sound too large to belong to anything natural. Their mission: reach the relay tower 12 kilometers away, restore communications, and locate the missing research team. Their reality: 2 survivors, 1 damaged shuttle, and a world that did not forgive. They began walking. The jungle watched them. Lyra moved ahead, scanning terrain, ignoring the creeping unease in her chest. She told herself she hated this planet, but the truth was worse. She feared it, because this world had once decided she didn't belong. Hours passed. Rain soaked them. Mud clung to their boots. Twice they hid from massive shapes moving between trees, creatures that shimmered with armor-like skin and eyes like molten glass. By nightfall, they found shelter in the ruins of an old research outpost. Broken walls, flickering emergency lights. A place forgotten. Lyra entered first, and froze. A nameplate hung beside the doorway, rusted but legible. Dr. Amara Ansel, Genetic Research Division. Her mother. Lyra's breath vanished. Her hands shook. Commander Wren noticed. You knew her? I never met her, Lyra whispered. But that's my name. Ansel. Wren's gaze softened. Then this was your beginning. Lyra stepped inside like someone entering a grave. Old terminals flickered weakly. Dust coated abandoned equipment. In the corner lay a cracked data cube. She picked it up, activated it. A hologram formed. A woman appeared, tired eyes, dark hair pulled back, wearing a lab coat. Log entry, the hologram said. Dr. Amara Ansel. If anyone finds this, know that Project Seraph failed. The child survived, but the board ordered her removed from the colony. They feared what she could become. I had no power to stop them. The hologram's eyes glistened. Lyra, if you ever see this, forgive me. I loved you. I never wanted you gone. They said you were dangerous. I knew you were extraordinary. The image dissolved. Silence swallowed the room. Lyra sank to her knees, gripping the cube. All her life, she believed she was discarded. Unwanted. A mistake. But here was truth. She had been taken, not abandoned. Loved, but stolen away. Tears ran down her face before she could stop them. Commander Wren sat beside her, saying nothing, simply sharing the space, letting her feel. After a long time, Lyra spoke. I spent my whole life trying not to need anyone, because I thought no one ever wanted me. Wren's voice was quiet. That was never true. She looked at him, surprised. He met her gaze steadily. You volunteered for a mission no one else would take. You've kept Meridian Station alive with your hands and mind. You crossed a world that scares trained soldiers. You don't do that because you're unwanted. You do it because you matter. Lyra wanted to argue, but something inside her, something fragile and long buried, finally believed him. They resumed the mission at dawn. The relay tower stood on a cliff overlooking a raging ocean. Lightning danced between clouds. Winds howled like voices of the dead. As they climbed the final ridge, shapes emerged from the mist. The missing research team. But they were no longer human. Their bodies had merged with Vesper 9's bioenergy. Skin glowing, eyes shining, minds connected in a shared consciousness. They spoke in one voice. You should not have returned, Lyra Ansel. She stepped forward despite fear tightening her chest. What happened to you? We evolved, the voice answered. The planet awakened us. It offers belonging, unity. You were born to join us. That is why you were taken from this world, because they feared what you are. Lyra shook her head. I am not your experiment. You are our future, the voice insisted. Join us. Never be alone again. For a moment, temptation whispered in her mind. A promise of belonging, of never feeling unwanted again. But she thought of Meridian Station, of Commander Wren, of her mother's recording, of choosing her own path. Lyra lifted her chin. I belong where I decide to belong. The air cracked. The evolved beings surged forward. Wren stepped beside her, raising his weapon. Then we fight. Together, they ran for the tower. Energy lashed the air. The ground split. A creature lunged, but Lyra slid beneath it, racing up the tower ladder. Wren covered her ascent, firing controlled bursts. At the top, Lyra reached the control panel. Hands shaking, she rerouted power, repaired burned circuits, uploaded the relay reboot sequence. A final keystroke. The tower roared to life, sending a beam of light into the storm. The hive mind shrieked. The evolved form staggered, their connection disrupted. The research team's bodies collapsed, human once more, unconscious but alive. The storm broke. Sunlight poured through clouds. Lyra exhaled. It was done. Rescue ships arrived hours later. The survivors were lifted from Vesper 9. The evolved researchers were taken for medical treatment. The relay tower stood repaired. And Lyra Ansel returned to Meridian Station not as a ghost, but as someone reborn. Days later, she stood again at the viewport, gazing down at Vesper 9. Commander Wren joined her.
"You saved them," he said.
"You saved yourself." Lyra smiled softly. "I thought I came here to prove I didn't need anyone, but I learned something else." "What's that?" She looked at him. "That belonging isn't something given. It's something chosen." Wren nodded. "Then where do you choose to belong?" Lyra turned toward the vast station around her. The hum of engines. The distant laughter of crew. The home she had built with her own hands. "I belong here," she said. "And I belong with people who choose me too." Wren smiled. Warm. Genuine. "Then Meridian Station is lucky to have you." For the first time in her life, Lyra believed it. She was not unwanted. She was not lost. She was exactly where she was meant to be. Meridian Station's council chamber was rarely quiet. It was a place of constant debate, policy arguments, and bureaucratic maneuvering. But today, silence ruled. Lyra stood at the center of the circular hall. Engineers, commanders, scientists, and station governors watched her. Holographic projections displayed mission footage, the restored relay, the recovered research team, the storm breaking over Vesper 9. Governor Kael folded his hands. "Technician Lyra Ansel, your actions prevented total loss of communication with the colony sector. You also recovered classified data and saved 6 lives. Meridian Station owes you a debt." Lyra shifted uncomfortably. Praise still felt foreign. Dangerous, even. Commander Wren stood at her side, unwavering. Governor Kael continued. "But there is another matter." He gestured, and a new hologram appeared, Amara Ansel's recorded message. Lyra's mother's face hovered in the air before the entire council. "I loved you," the hologram repeated softly. The room remained silent. Governor Kael turned to Lyra. "Records confirm that Project Seraph was conducted illegally by the former planetary board. Your removal from Vesper 9 was not abandonment. It was enforced separation. On behalf of Meridian Authority, we formally recognize you as a citizen of full standing, with unrestricted rights of residence, rank advancement, and personal identity registration." A chime echoed. A new ID card printed from a slot in the floor console. Lyra Amara Ansel, citizen of Meridian. Lyra stared at the card. Not a file number. Not a designation.
A name.
Her name. Wren leaned closer and whispered, "They can't take this from you." Lyra swallowed hard. Then, for the first time in her life, she allowed herself to feel pride. That night, she returned to the viewport overlooking Vesper 9. The planet below was calmer now. Storm bands had thinned. Oceans reflected faint starlight. Somewhere down there, her mother's abandoned lab still stood, a silent witness to a broken past. Wren joined her again, hands resting on the railing beside hers. "What will you do now?" he asked. Lyra considered the question. For years, survival had been her only plan. Now she finally had choices. "I want to rebuild the Vesper Research Station," she said. "Not as a place of secrets, but as a bridge between worlds. A place where no one is erased. No one hidden away." Wren smiled. "I suspected you'd say something like that." Lyra glanced at him. "Will you help?" He looked toward the stars. "If you'll have me." For a moment, neither spoke. The hum of the station filled the quiet, a sound that once made Lyra feel small. Now it felt like a heartbeat, like belonging. Weeks later, the first reconstruction ship descended toward Vesper 9. Lyra stood on its observation deck, watching clouds swallow the hull as they entered atmosphere. Engineers, medics, architects, all under her direction. Not because she needed to prove herself, but because she wanted to build something better. Ren stood beside her. Nervous, Lyra shook her head.
No.
This time, I'm not returning to a world that rejected me. She looked through the glass at the glowing horizon. I'm going home by choice. Epilogue. Years later, travelers spoke of a station on Vesper 9 where storms no longer frighten visitors. A city of living light and metal, harmonizing with the planet instead of fighting it. At its heart stood a woman with silver-threaded hair and calm eyes. A leader known for welcoming the lost, the displaced, and the forgotten. They said she never turned anyone away, because she knew what it meant to feel unwanted. And she knew how powerful it was to finally belong.